boys and girls. Well, we talked about what animals eat, and now we're going to talk about where animals live. Just like we need to eat and we have shelter, animals need shelter too. And they have many different kinds of homes, just like we have many different kinds of homes. So we can see our good friend, the woodpecker, right back here. Yeah, the red-crested woodpecker. We learned about him in our eating story. Does anyone remember what kind of eater he was? An omnivore, that's right. Both insects, which is carnivorous, and also nuts and grains, making him herbivore, so omnivore, because he does both. And doesn't really have teeth, has a beak. Very useful. That beak helps eat and also builds a home. And we're going to find out in this book called Animal Homes. And it's written and illustrated by Mary Holland. She used a camera to take her pictures, which still makes her the illustrator. She definitely wrote the words. Have a front cover, back cover, spine to keep it nice and straight. And I love her big, clear photos. Well, let's find out what kind of animal homes there are. Whoa, we have a mud dauber wasp. Animals use their homes for shelter and for raising their young. They make their homes in many different places. In the ground, in water, under bark, on flowers, under rocks, and inside trees. They also make them out of lots of different materials, including leaves, sticks, rocks, feathers, mud, saliva. That's a fancy word for spit. And spider silk. This beaver builds its lodge using trees and mud. So just like humans use different materials that are available to build their homes, animals do the same thing. Sometimes branches fall off a tree, and the resulting injury to the tree causes decay that leaves holes, cavities, just like in your teeth. These cavities are used by many animals as homes in which they raise their babies. A snug hole keeps young red squirrels from getting wet and cold. When they are old enough, the young squirrels will be able to climb out of their home and jump from branch to branch. Sometimes animals make their own tree cavity to use as a nest. Woodpeckers have big, strong bills which they use to chip away wood. They make a deep hole in a tree and lay their eggs in it. When the eggs hatch, the birds feed insects to the young woodpeckers. As soon as the young woodpeckers can fly, they leave their nest. Part of the bird family. Got feathers, has a beak, lays eggs, but also uses that beak not just for eating, but also for building a home. Nice. Some animals live in shelters that they make as well as in cavities. Many eastern gray squirrels make a nest for their young in tree cavities. In the spring, summer, and fall, some eastern gray squirrels build their homes in the forks of these tree limbs. They use twigs and bark and leaves to make a big ball lined with soft moss and grass. This hollow ball is called a dray. Flying squirrels, red squirrels, and eastern gray squirrels use dray as temporary shelters. Temporary means not for long. It's not the permanent home. Many songbirds make their homes in the tops of tree canopies. Baltimore orioles, that's the Maryland state bird, tear off long, thin pieces of plant stems and then weave them into a nest that looks like a sack. When the wind blows, the nest rocks like a cradle. Can you imagine making your home without using your hands? That's what birds do. And can you imagine it being just like a cradle? Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetops. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. Bold-faced hornets build their nests in trees and bushes. They chew wood and mix it with their saliva. That's a fancy word for spit. To make a paste that turns into paper when it dries. They use this paste to make tiny little rooms, cells, in which they raise young. The cells are protected with several layers of paper that surround them. As the number of hornets gets bigger, so does the nest. And you don't want to bother them because they will sting you. So if you see a hornet's nest, stand clear and go tell a grown-up. Eastern tent caterpillars lay their eggs on tree branches. When the eggs hatch, the caterpillars build a silk tent around nearby branches. When it's very hot or wet, the caterpillars shelter themselves within the tent. They leave the tent to feed on nearby leaves. As the caterpillars grow, they make the tent larger. Eventually, they leave the nest, spin cocoons, and turn into moths. So remember, if you see a moth, that came from a cocoon. If you see a butterfly, that came from a chrysalis. A chrysalis, they emerge from the caterpillar's skin. But for a moth, the caterpillar spins a cocoon and stays inside. Moth, cocoon. Butterfly, chrysalis. Way to go, scientists. Another insect that makes material for building its home is the spittlebug. Another word for spit. There's a lot of spit in this book. Young spittlebugs hang upside down on a plant and blow bubbles out of their butt. The bubbles fall down and cover them so that insect-eating animals can't see them. When the spittlebug is all grown up, it is called a froghopper and no longer lives inside the bubbles. Many animals live on or under the ground. In fall, black bears often look for trees that have fallen down and burrow in under them to make a winter den. Snow covers the tree and makes a shelter for the bear. It acts like insulation. That's why you hear snow being called like a blanket of snow. Young bears are born in the middle of winter inside their mother's den, where they snuggle with their mother to keep warm. There are many animals that dig homes under the ground, including woodchucks. They make a network of tunnels that lead to a den underground. Woodchucks have a winter den where they hibernate. That means they sleep through the winter in the woods, and a summer den, often in the fields near gardens, where they raise their young. Many animals, including possums, raccoons, skunks, coyotes, and foxes, use old woodchuck dens as a shelter. So that's like moving into someone else's house. Red foxes sometimes use old woodchuck dens as their home, but they can also dig their own dens. Often, the sand they remove to make the tunnels and den is piled at the entrance to the den, making it easy to find where foxes are living. Young foxes stay close to their den and scamper down the entrance hole if they get scared. If you find a den, there's a good chance foxes will return and use it, the same one, next year. So just like we use our same house, they like to use their same house too. Eastern chipmunks live in rooms off tunnels that they dig under the ground. Hey, we have rooms in our houses. There is usually a bedroom, a bathroom, and a storage room for seeds. That's kind of like us having a kitchen. The dirt from these tunnels and rooms is carried outside in the chipmunks' cheek pouches. I don't know that I'd want to put dirt in my mouth. They also carry seeds, nuts, and other food in their cheeks. So they carry food in their cheeks and they carry dirt in their cheeks. Kind of a crazy use for cheeks. Where is your home? What is it made of? Very interesting. I'm thinking this house is probably made from lumber, and lumber is milled from trees. Trees give us wood. That's a very useful tool to help build our homes, or material to build our homes. Take a look at your house. See what it's made out of. And did you build it, or did someone build it for you? I wonder. Scroll on down and find out what your assignment is for your home.